see Bobby Fong leading this?
I think it's great. I mean, it's so great for our championship, and this guy, such a class act is Bobby Fong, and you can see him here in action at Brainerd. This was the final lap of race 1. Heron made a very super uncharacteristic mistake for that number 2. Bobby Fong snuck underneath him. Wasn't very celebratory after that first day because he knew he had race 2 coming up on Sunday, and he would just go on and dominate that. For this Wrench Motorcycles team, they've been around a bit. You see Robbie Peterson there, Seiling Brothers. There's so many great people involved with that team that have made this happen.
So Bobby Fong leads his championship by 8 points. And of course, Jay, the interesting bit is the way that the season is turning out. Jay Gagne's got a hand that's numb. He hasn't been doing great lately. That so far, Bobby's average finish has been 4.6 compared to the 2023 champion Gagne at 1.5. But there's still a lot of racing to go, and we can see that average climb higher and higher. But with the weather, anything can happen. Fourth go for the Vision Wheel M4XR Suzuki rider Chavi Flores on this GSXR 1000. He says things are getting better and better.
So now watch the tail end of riders coming back around the 7-minute wet track familiarization session has now been completed. Roger, looking at the screen, I'm not sure if it's raining as hard as it was at the beginning of it.
It's Beaubier's on top, but just the younger Beaubier, Ezra's leading the session. But it's a tricky, you know, we talked about it a lot right now. It's not enough rain to be on wet, so a lot of, you know, looks like a lot of guys might have just went out and did a lot. You know, this could play in the favor, Jay Gagne. He's having those issues with the arm pump and his hand falling asleep. A little wet track like this with the guys doing a 2-minute lap time could really play in his favor. You can see right there. Nice. So, you know, these guys all came in, and we see the only thing we seen Cam do a lap.
You know, I was looking down at timing and scoring to see if Cameron Beaubier did make it out, and I'm not sure that he went out and did any laps there. Michael Hill, you're down on pit lane. We saw the rain falling. What's it like right now?
Yeah, I can tell you, I've kind of changed my mind. This is probably a reason that I'm a commentator and a broadcaster and not a weatherman, because the pit lane is now completely wet, and if the rain keeps falling and they start this race and they declare it wet, then obviously they're not going to stop the race, are they? So I think there's going to be some tyre gambles, and maybe someone a little bit further back on the grid may just want to gamble here. I think he would still go with slicks, but if it keeps raining, who knows? But yeah, I'm not sure. What would you do, Roger?
Well, you'd have to, honestly, I would have to see the track, and I'd have to feel the temperature and the humidity, and, you know, does it look like the sun is about to pop out? You can see the ground. It's not totally wet. The soft tires are so, the rain tires are so soft. If there's not water down, they get so hot and you bake them, and that's the problem. So unless you're out there and you can really tell, it's hard to say.
Looking at some of the riders, Ashton Yates there, it looks like maybe he's one of the riders that is going to take a gamble here. So a couple of minutes before everybody has to make their way out to the grid. With that, we'll send it back over to Greg and Jason for more.
We're back at Ridge Motorsports Park, Shelton, Washington. Umbrellas are out because it's still sprinkling. The question, of course, is how wet is the racetrack? Who's going to go for slick tires? Who's going to go for full wets? We don't know, but we have an opportunity to welcome the third member of our broadcast team right into this broadcast, Hannah Lopa.
Greg, I'll keep an eye out on what teams are using what tires right now, but Cameron Beaubier and team decided not to send him out for the 7-minute track familiarization session under these mixed conditions. When I asked why, they had a tip over yesterday and a tip over again this morning in Q2. They didn't want to subject him to any unnecessary additional risk. Cam's back a little bit earlier than he would have liked to be because of this injury, but he said he's just trying to minimize the damage and the hemorrhaging of points, hoping to just get through this cleanly, finish with as many points as he can score.
Yeah, and I really think that that's kind of the key to it, not to mention the fact that he goes to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in 2 weeks' time, and, you know, it's his home race, and he's going to have friends and family there, and so this was a good test bed to see how the injury is really holding up in these conditions. I know that Cameron has over the years switched back and forth, Jay, in terms of his boot sizes, and he's gone to kind of that larger boot size for Cameron Beaubier to get a little bit more comfort with that heel.
Yeah, you can see he won first 3 of 5 races of us this year and led the championship. Then he got hurt at Road America, and then of course currently 7th in the standings. And I think that one of the things that you brought up in our opening, Greg, about the average finish of the guy who's leading the points, Bobby Fong, right now, I just think it goes to show the depth of the field that we have. Also, we've seen Gagne and those guys win a bunch of races in the past, and I don't think we're going to see as much of that this year just because of the way the championship is unfolding and the level of competition that we have here in Moto America now with so many different brands and so many different great riders we have. You know, you said that average might go up, and you know, it's important on days like today where mistakes can be made. You get those points and you put them in your pocket.
Yeah, and of course what we do hear from Moto America and AMA FIM North America is that this race is declared a wet race. That means that as the race gets going, if the skies open up, then you're just kind of stuck with what you have.
That's right.
So it's decision time on what you're going to do. But Jay, they have to contend with Ridge Motorsports Park. So let's take a look at the track map and show you what we're up to here. It's 2.47 miles in length. It goes up and down. It's famous for basically going up to the top of the ridge where we race around from turns 3, 4, all the way through the section until we get to turn 13 where we come back down the hill. And this racetrack is so much fun. It's got good asphalt. It's got good grip. But Jay, let's not just take a look at this graphic. Why don't we take a more intimate look with our Insta 360 track lap? And we have a good look on bike for this one.
Yeah, this is a great place here as you go down into this fast turns 1 and 2. This is after the chicane. This is where you start to go up the hill into the ridge. This little right-hander is trickier than it looks. Trickier than Xavi Forrest made it look as well here as you go through turns 4, 5. Then you come into this big, long turn 6. It's kind of a double apex corner. You can see Xavi gets in there, gets to that first apex, and you'll see him close down on that red and white stripe here on the exit as well. Then down a big, steep hill. This is off camber a little bit. There's a big G out at the bottom. All the way through here, you're in second gear on a Superbike. Now you're going to go 3rd, 4th, and you're going to be flat out until turn 10. Now, this is coming down that ridge that we talked about, turn 13, Greg. This is the ridge where you start going back down. Very slow, very technical. That big black patch that you saw there is one that a lot of riders aim at going into that final corner, over that curbing and onto the front straightaway.
What a beautiful racetrack here at Ridge Motorsports Park in the course Pacific Northwest. We get treated to it each year, and it is a great place to come. Well, for our number 1 plate, Jake Gagne, his woes continue with his right hand, at least for the next couple of rounds, and he is going to be in conservation mode himself. How many points can the number 1 plate collect as we continue to roll on through this championship? We'll be back after this.
And we continue here on Moto America Live Plus as you watch Jake Gagne now having left pit lane with the rest of the Superbike field to be able to get into their positions out on the grid. And just want to follow up on one point really fast. Now that this race has been declared wet, what that means in terms of if you went out on slicks and the rain falls even harder, if you make the decision as the rider that you want to come to pit lane and put on a set of wet tires, you're going to have to do it during the actual race itself. Race control will not be stopping this race with any red flag periods just due to the weather itself, unless, of course, lightning or some extraordinary event starts to unfold. So this is where that gamble comes into play. With that, I'm going to send it back down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, sorry guys, I was just moving on to the way, the red flag at the end of the pit lane. I can tell you that some of the main riders, including Loris Baz, who will start from pole position, is left with a slick front tyre and a slick rear tyre. So too has JD Beach, so too has Max Flinders. There were a couple of riders that went past me that did have wet tyres on, but none of the leading riders have left pit lane with wet tyres. It is slick tyres for the main runners, which is what I kind of thought would happen. And as you rightly said, Jamie, if it starts to rain, they will have to change tyres in the middle of the race. So it's a gamble.
Certainly is a gamble. That was one of the things you were talking about, Roger, is what would you do? What would you think about at this point?
It looks like Jake is on wets. I mean, that Jake Gagne is on wets.
Jake Gagne is on wets. Brandon Posh, we're being told, they're on that 96 bike right in front of Jake Gagne, also on wets. But we just heard from Michael that Loris Baz is on slicks.
Yeah, you can see that Jake right there definitely has rain tires on, and you know it's going to be his choice. He's going pretty slow in that lap, checking things out, making sure he didn't get too much heat in them. That's for sure.
Another change that has happened over the last couple of minutes here in terms of this race and the way things are unfolding. It was scheduled to be a 16-lap race. We now know from race control that it's been shortened down to a 10-lap race. So if you're on those rain tires and the rain doesn't pick up enough to be able to take full advantage of making that decision and taking that gamble, is 10 laps, is that too many on a set of rain tires?
It depends on how much rain we got right now. I mean, I think it would have to rain quite a bit. You know, I've seen it looked like Cam Beaubier was on slicks. It looked like Bobby Fong was on slicks. So you're going to see, yeah, you see right there, that's definitely a rain tire for Jake Gagne. It's going to be a little bit of a different call for him, and we'll see how it plays out. He's going to be praying for rain right now, that's for sure.
And you can see Cam Beaubier there on the slicks. I wonder what Cameron Peterson went on starting this race on the front row. So many things still unfold. Let's go back over to Greg and Jason.
Steel Commander Superbike coverage is brought to you by Steel Commander Corps, a leading steel building manufacturer offering expertise, innovation, and a dedication to quality. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series.
That's crazy. That shot was real time here at Ridge Motorsports Park in the pits, I'm pretty sure. All right, so riders have gone out and done their sighting lap, Jason. And you can see, look at the tires. I mean, you have Baz on slicks. You have Sean Dillon Kelly, your championship points leader on slicks. But it looks like Cameron Peterson is going to be on rain tires. Gagne's on rain tires. This is just crazy right now in these races because right before we came back from break, we were looking at a shot and it looked like it was raining pretty decently down there on the front straightaway. As they go to their warm-up lap, this is going to be one hectic start to a race.
Yeah, we're going to see is this is, like you say, this is the warm-up lap. Baz there is going to the back, and I'll tell you why. He wants to get a good view of the track with, you know, he's got dry weather tires on at the moment. Heron's up front here. I bet Heron's, I don't know if Heron's on range or not.
No, I think he's on. I would imagine from the pace he's holding right now that he's on reins, but
could be.
I don't know. I mean,
I just don't know if it's enough right now. Baz on slicks, Bobby Fong on slicks. This is where, you know, championships again can be won and lost on a tire choice. We saw that in the baggers class in Atlanta, if you remember, and it's kind of the same thing here. But see the lean angles a lot of these guys are getting right now.
Yep.
I think that it's going to be fine. And let's see what Hannah has to say. Hannah.
I don't have the full list from Dunlop just yet, but from what I could see walking around, both Ducatis, Baz and Heron, are on slicks. Beaubier is also on slicks as well as JD Beach, but both of our Yamahas, so Jake Gagne and Cameron Peterson, are on rain tires. Time will tell what was the right choice.
yeah, plus you have a lot of these riders in the back of the field. Yeah, they're on stock 1,000 motorcycles that compete in the Superbike Cup. And they might gamble, roll the dice, try to get a better result. Either way, this is our starting grid. Boris Baz on pole, first time this season with Cam Peterson, Josh Heron on your front row.
And then you got Bobby Fong, Gagne, and Xavi Forres, only half-second back on that Suzuki. Really nice work by Xavi on that team. XTK is in 7th, Cam Beaubier. Hayden Gillum, he could be a problem in this race because he's so fast on that stock 1,000. Posh Beach and Ashton Yates. Ashton, I know, is on reins. Nolan Lampgood, Richard Kerr, he'll probably be pretty comfortable in these conditions coming from Ireland there.
True.
Ezra Beaubier, Bryce Prince, Danilo Lewis, and Max Flinders. And a little bit further back behind them is going to be Benjamin Smith, Dion Campbell, and Andrew Lee. These are some of our stock 1,000 guys. And we have some locals here, Greg. Kevin Pinkstaff, first of those. JC Camacho and Sierra Arango. And then Brian Pinkstaff as well is here. Bobby Davis, John Knowles, and Manny Segura. Man, in this first turn is so tricky, and for those that are going to be on slicks that might be at the front of the grid, they're going to be letting off early. Guys on reins might be trying to get in there a little bit harder into this first turn. Somebody's coming down pit lane already and wanting to change. It looks like one of the Tyler's bikes, Greg. I can't tell which one it is, but it looks like it might be JD. So we'll see who that is when they're coming in, but they're going to try to make, yeah, it's JD Beach. So he's going to want to make some sort of change, it looks like. And it looks like it's raining pretty good. Is that rain that I can see out there, or?
Yeah, I think so. And that's the thing I'm talking about on the front straightaway. But if you looked at the weather forecast and you thought to yourself, by the end of these 10 laps, if it's going to dry out,
look at his windshield, Greg. There's no real rain on the windshield.
That's true.
I just feel like slicks are the way to go. And you know, you said that Heron, I believe, or Hannah said Heron is on slicks. And here you go. So here.
All right. So you see a little light rain, not much sprinkle. Either way, we're going racing. It's Steel Commander Superbike Race number 1. Slicks versus full rain tires here at Ridge Motorsports Park. And away we go to the chicane. Oh, hold your breath for this one. Cameron Peterson on those rain tires, gonna lead the way. It looks like everyone getting through.
But look at it, there's the slicks already. Baz is gonna try to get himself up in the front. You can see over here, it's a little bit wetter. It definitely is a little wet over in this turn 1 area. Who's that off in the grass? Is that Brandon Posh off in the grass, Greg? Yeah, it looks like it is. He's gonna go through the gravel, get that bike slowed. He's out motocrossing, so now you can see he's on wets.
Yeah,
he's on wets, but see, this is where Cam Peterson's got to take advantage of where it is wet, try to get away. And you can see the rain is coming down pretty decent right there in our screen there. You can really see the rain up against the green of the trees.
But you got to give it to Baz, man. I mean, he is just the first rider on these slicks doing great work. Although the number 1 plate got around him, so Jake Gagne moves into 2nd place.
And you've got to think for Jake Gagne with some of the issues that he has had with his arms, even for Cam Beaubier. I know Cam's running injured, and you can see him go through there on the screen, probably back in 9th, 10th place somewhere. But if you've got injuries or you got issues, who's just going around the outside of everybody? Max Flinders, of course.
Of course.
Going around the outside of Kerr, trying to get around the outside of Bobby Fong.
Flinders conditions. This is going to hurt Fong. It could. But he's got to just keep it upright. This is one of those. Oh,
look at Richard Kerr. He's up there on that stock 1000 bike behind Heron now with Ashton Yates. We know that he's on reins.
Yeah, but up in front of him, too, I think I saw Danilo Lewis, the 94, setting sail towards the front of the group as well. And a shot just to go. You can see riders up and out of the saddle in the background there. There's the number 88 of Max Flinders. Flinders on the Thrash Bike Racing Yamaha R1. Had 2 podium finishes in his career, and that is in the Mission King of the Baggers class in very similar conditions. Yep, there he is, Jay. Right behind Baz is Danilo Lewis, who in the 7-minute warm-up session, he was only one of like 3 riders that completed entire laps around this circuit, and he was the fastest of all of them. So there's Danilo Lewis, the number 94.
He's 3rd.
Yeah, Xavi Flores, and Xavi Flores, I think, was on full reins as well. So the Vision Wheel and 4XR Suzuki rider, just ahead of the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati entry of Loris Baz. And oh, by the way, did you know that betting is now available for Moto America fans? It's true. You can go to nxtbets.com/playma. For more information, visit motoamerica.com. Steel Commander Superbike Race number 1 underway in these rainy conditions. A wet race, but some riders choosing to be on slicks, including the red bike. There goes Lewis up the inside on the number 94 on the Team Brazil BMW M1000 RR.
Yeah, you can see it's definitely raining a lot harder right here, but Danilo Lewis on his way forward. And look at Baz, man. He's on those slicks, as you said, Greg.
What a hero.
Yeah, this is what you'd expect from a guy like him with as much experience as Baz has. He's just got to kind of keep that thing on the island. I'm looking back to see where our championship points leader is, Greg. He's in 11th at the moment.
This field is spread out, Jay, so fast.
It is spread out quick. Heron in 8th. So you got Max Flinders there in 9th. So some surprises there with Richard Kerr doing a tremendous job running 6th. Ashton Yates in 7th. But this guy here, Danilo Lewis, just going forward on the 94.
And Jason, I mentioned to you earlier in the broadcast that we have the Superbike Cup. Superbike Cup is a championship inside of this Steel Commander Superbike Championship. And so those are basically our riders that are on stock 1000 spec machines that are racing in their own little championship for prize money at the end of the year. And there is your leader in this championship, number 94, Lewis.
Greg, he's got pace. I wouldn't be surprised if this is fastest lap of the race. Let's see, 58, well, right on pace. 58.1 for Gagne, 58.1 for Lewis, and you can see that Jake Gagne is actually close to within half a second of his teammate. Xavi Flores and Danilo Lewis just there behind him. The slowest one on the track that time by was Cam Peterson, only just though at a 58.5, and a couple of guys at 58.4. So it looks like for right now, these guys have made the right choice.
Now, Hannah, do you have information about what happened to JD Beach?
JD Beach was not on the grid
before they started that race, he decided after that warm-up lap to pull into the pits, and they did take slick tires off and send him back out on rain. So he's a lap down, circulating in the back of the field. We'll see how easily he's able to make his way forward on those rains, depending on how these conditions change.
Yeah, you might see him march forward. I mean, we still have about 7.5 laps to go in this race. Right now, it's led by Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha Racing, and the lead rider is Cameron Peterson, number 45, and right behind him is three-time reigning champion Jake Gagne. So Cameron Peterson coming off of a podium last time we were racing in Brainerd, and there's the 95 of JD Beach coming down the hill. So Beach getting it done on full rain tires. And if you're new to Moto America, Steel Commander Superbike Racing normally runs slick tires, no grooves at all. Put these reins on, we have nice deep grooves. And of course, Jay, the really difficult thing is that on a normal situation, if you know the rain's coming or it's been raining all day, there are changes in setup that happen. And I mean, for some of these motorcycles, it can take over an hour to go from a dry setup to a wet weather setup. So there's a compromise that's going on for a lot of these riders that had to switch to rain tires immediately, like JD Beach.
Yeah.
On the front straightaway we go.
They're going to probably just change his tires and just let him run out there. And
yeah, I can't imagine
they're not far behind.
Yeah.
But again, I think, when you look at what's happening here, Cam's a little bit better in the first half of the lap, and then Jake's a little bit better in the second half of the lap. So 7 laps to go now. What was going to be a 17-lap race, Greg, it's got cut to 10. So we've only got 7 laps to go now, and you can see they pulled away from Chavi Flores and Danilo Lewis, the two Attack Yamaha guys here. Minute 57.7, minute 57.5. Chavi was the only other guy in the 57s. He was at a 57.8, and it would be great to see Chavi in that M14 get a podium. I know we got a lot of racing to go still, but Chavi's back there chugging away in third. This is where a track seems to be a little bit wetter. Look at the rain. You can really see it coming down, in that shot right there.
So for Danilo Lewis, he's back a little bit further from Flores, but this would be a great result for the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team as Flores continues to fill in for the injured Richie
Escalante there.
Sorry, Richie Escalante. But Jay, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about Jake Gagne and Cam Peterson. So currently Gagne is 8 points back in this championship from Bobby Fong. So Gagne, as we have Cameron Beaubier in. So Beaubier, the number 6, is in on this one as the crew has a chat, and you can see the right heel as Cameron limps away. But Jay, looking at it right now, if Gagne is able to gather these 20 points, Bobby Fong has drifted back to 14th right now. Wow. 14th. So he's only right now in a position to score 2 points. So that would be an 18-point swing, and Gagne would retake the championship lead by 10 points if it finishes this way. Nobody really saw this one coming, as we know for Jake Gagne. He's been really struggling. Hannah talked about it at Brainerd, how his right hand has been going to sleep after having some surgery on his right forearm. And for Gagne, he told me, Jay, that really they're looking forward to after WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in a couple weeks. We have an entire month off, and that's when he's going to go try to get something done about what's going on with his right wrist. And so it's been difficult for him to maintain the pace. But right now, in these conditions, as you mentioned, you get a more relaxed riding position and possibly...
He's not under as much strain, is he?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
this plays really well into Gagne's ailments currently. But
these races are so much harder mentally than they can ever be physically right now. And you're, in road racing in the dry, the conditions, when you go lap after lap, Greg, they don't change that much. When there are conditions like this where they can be kind of wet going to dry, or wet in some spots and dry in others, it's just a continuous evaluation lap after lap of what you remember from the lap before. And you can see Gagne has now started to pick his pace up in the first half of this lap. This was the spots earlier where Cam Peterson was pulling away from Gagne. And while we're talking about Cam, how much confidence is this young man showing this year, Greg? I mean, it's so nice to see him over the last couple of years just continue to grow, mature, get stronger mentally. Obviously, we've always known he's a great motorcycle rider, but now he's comfortable leading these races, and we've seen him win a couple already this year, and these conditions are playing right into Cam Peterson's favor again.
Yeah, for Cameron Peterson, doing an outstanding job out front. Unfortunately for the Cameron Beaubier, Hannah, he's done.
I talked to Beaubier, and he is fighting a bit of pain, but because he's on slicks, he's at the back of the field circulating the track, and he said with no hope of really finishing inside the points, it's also not worth it to take that risk.
I agree with him.
Yeah, and really, that's just down to a tire choice. They took a gamble. Everybody in these conditions takes gambles. It could have just as easily had the sun pop out, and then these poor guys in the front would have been stuck on reins on a drying track, Hannah. So, for Cambodia, I think it's a very, very wise decision. It's a bummer, Greg, because obviously we know why he's here. He's here to try to get some points, any points, with the hopes of continuing his championship run. And that's too bad to see Cambodia out of the race.
Still impressed. If you look at the left part of your screen, you can see what's going on in terms of the leaderboard as Peterson, the 45, on that attack performance, Progressive Yamaha, leads his teammate Xavi Flores, Vision Wheel and Forex-R Suzuki on the back there. Danilo Lewis on that Brazil motorcycle. And how about Richard Kerr, Jason, up to 5th place from Ireland on the AMD Motorsports RK Racing Honda CBR 1000 RR-R SP.
And now he's 5th. So he is actually 5th. They've got by Loris Bass. So these conditions have literally played against Loris just a little bit here. As you can see, these guys are already lapping riders who also went out in slicks. Both Brian Pinkstaff and Kevin Pinkstaff have been lapped, as will be John Knowles right now. So they're already lapping the riders up into the top 20. JD Beach would be the next one up the way. So for the two guys here in the front, I just feel like now Gagne just continues to get closer and closer to the back of his teammate, Hannah.
For Jake Gagne, I know we've talked about that wrist and his hand falling asleep kind of ad nauseum here, but this track is a little bit easier for him to manage in general, even in dry conditions, because there's so many left-handers. It's really taking the pressure off of that right hand as these guys are navigating through traffic here still. But also, the rain was a little bit of a gift for Jake Gagne because the pace is quite a bit slower, so we'll see how things unfold if he's got anything left in the tank for his teammate.
Yeah, and I think also this track lends itself, because Andy, you're talking about, it just, even though if you look at the actual track configuration, they're going to say there's 9 lefts, 7 rights. When you're riding the track, it feels like there's a lot more lefts than there actually are rights. And so for a guy like Cameron Beaubier as well, he thought this was going to be a good place to come back to racing as Peterson goes a little bit wide, and it looks like the number 1's going to try to sneak up the inside. Here's the drag race between the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha as they have a look over at each other, and they're probably smiling in their helmets right now, but it's going to be Cam B who continues to hold on to the lead.
Did you see the respect that Cam Peterson gave to Gagne when they came onto the front straightaway, how he didn't just push him off? If these guys weren't necessarily teammates or racing, on different brands of bikes, that's what you can see as Bobby Fong is getting lapped. He's getting lapped by these two right now. So that just goes to show, Greg, how different this is. I said at the beginning of the telecast that when we came on, it was dry. I was wrong. It is definitely wet. So as you can see, they're going to go by Ezra Beaubier there, who's got his hand up. So, Greg, to give you an idea, they've lapped all the way up through 13th place right now, and that is just all tire choice.
If you just joined us and you're asking us why that is, it's because the rain started to fall. It was declared a wet race, but riders had a choice: dry, slick tires, or to go with these full wets. And I would say right now you're looking at Loris Baz back in 8th place, is the first of our riders that we know of that is on full slicks, and he is doing unbelievable. And how about JD Beach, who pulled into the pits, Jason? And he pulled into the pits and he's worked his way up to 12th, so a good tire choice for him.
And the guy in front of him is Sean Dillon Kelly, and that last lap by, he was 23 seconds quicker than Sean Dillon Kelly.
Yeah.
And in front of him is Josh Herron, who is also on slicks. You can see there's STK right there getting out of the way. So now they've lapped up through 11th. The next guy you're going to see them lap, Greg, don't know how far up the road he is. We'll have to keep an eye, but it's going to be Josh Herron. Brandon Posh, who we saw run off the track, it was probably close to dead last, has got himself up to 9th already. So, yeah, you can see a gigantic disparity. There's Josh Herron just in front of the two guys leading this race.
What a turn of events. And sometimes, Jason, it's luck that helps to win championships without question. But in this particular case, as Herron does the right thing, just lets them know, hey, I'm on slick tires. You guys go ahead and race amongst yourselves. This is a well-prepared team. Attack Performance, like some of these riders, Jay, who had a choice on slicks or rain tires, and there's some riders in the back of the field that might not. They might not have had rain tires mounted up on spare wheels. They may not have had crew, and given enough time to really work on the motorcycle and change tires.
Experience, isn't it, Greg?
It is.
And that's what you're seeing. And look, not that the other teams don't have a lot of experienced people in their corner, but this team here has big experience, a lot of championships. Their two guys are at the front. They're out front right now by 5.6 seconds over Xavi Flores, who's doing a great job. And Danilo Lewis still back there in 4th place. He's 4.5 seconds back of Xavi Forres. Richard Kerr, this will be a great result for him. As you see, Bobby Fong has gone into the pits.
So for Bobby Fong, they gave it a good run. He was back there, possibly scoring a point or two. And on the left-hand part of your screen with the hat on, that's Robbie Peterson. He's the father of your current race leader, Cameron Peterson. What an interesting dynamic we have this season with Robbie Peterson being the crew chief for was the championship points leader. He still could be. I mean, we still have 2.5 laps to go. I mean, this is not done and dusted. But in terms of a father and his son, it's been a very interesting dynamic talking to him about what's going on for him being a crew chief for Bobby Fong and his son racing on another team.
I've seen that Sean Dillon Kelly pitted as well. Max Flinders, I'm trying to see where he's at because he was kind of in there at the beginning. Look at this. Now Gagne would lead by 12 points over Cam Peterson. And this is a bit of a hit for Josh Herron, isn't it? Because he was 18 points back coming in. But Cam Peterson is literally throwing himself right back into this championship, Greg. Only 15 points back if it finishes the way it does now. So Gagne just keeps trying and trying and trying. And I think that sooner or later, let's see, is he going to have a go here? He's up alongside Cam this time.
Oh, boy.
Look at,
so
man, close.
Oh, look at they're getting a little bit racy here.
Again, Cam gives him plenty of room. Gagne might have this move made. No. Cam saws it off. But they're racing each other super clean through all that stuff, Greg. We got 2 to go.
Hey, look, there is no way, and I say this not knowing what I'm talking about, that Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha and their team leader, Stamboli, said, if you guys find yourself in a situation going 1-2, that there's team orders. Campy, let Gagne by. No way.
No chance.
No chance.
Richard's probably down there laughing about this like we are right now with these two guys. But, again, you can see a huge level of respect between them, even in their when they're in close proximity like that. There's still room being given, and that's it's good. So, where's Gagne going to have a chance to do this? That's the thing. He's kind of showing Cam, hey, I can get up alongside of you into one. The pass that would be hard will be after that chicane. That's going to be a hard pass as they go down to what would be the original turn 1 here at the Ridge Motorsports Park. So, Cam goes into here pretty tight. Gagne doesn't really have anywhere to do anything there. But Gagne's got to feel like this is a huge chance for him to bag 25 points.
And of course, for Jake Gagne, he's sitting on 41 career Steel Commander Superbike Race wins. Cameron Peterson sitting on 5. And as we have a rider down, that's Augustin Sierra, who is back in 13th place. And a red flag is out. A red flag is out in this race. And they're going to come down the hill and see that red flag. And Jake Gagne after whoops.
Oh, there they go.
So and that's what you do as the rider in front. It looks like, look at those two guys. I guarantee you they're laughing and having fun. Although Jake Gagne wasn't able to capitalize and get that 5 extra points, those two had some fun. I'm telling you, I've been inside their transporter. These two are
like
good
this all
friends.
The time, aren't they?
They're really good friends.
I believe that we're going to see. Austin gets kind of high-sided off the bike. So happy to see him up and okay.
Might have gotten on that paint on the inside.
You're right. Yep, could have touched it. So he was running 13th. He was in the points. Was Sierra, and you can see there he is. He's up, and
good to see that.
Augustin is up, so that's nice.
Okay, so that is a Steel Commander Superbike race in the rain at Ridge Motorsports Park. When we come back, we're going to talk to Peterson and Gagne. They look like they have an awful lot of fun.
Coverage continues here as you see Cameron Peterson. He can't believe it, making his way through the pit lane area to drive on over to the paddock. And Roger, for all of the questions that we asked in the beginning, and do you take the chance, do you not? It ultimately came down to the race.
It came down to the tire choice, and the Attack Performance guy.
Hello guys, keep support, subscribe the channel, like the videos guys, everyone.
Maybe the reins were not the right choice, but
subscribe the channel,
it just
support.
worked out perfectly in their favor. They were the only ones out on reins, and more rain came down and just played right in their favor. And also Xavi Forres.
Everybody subscribe the channel, a small support.
Superbike podium as well. You know, they made the right tire choice as well. And, you know, you can see what
Well,
it means to Cam Peterson and those two
it's a
teammates.
support for a
That was
small
an awesome
channel
race
to
to watch. I mean,
subscribe
every
game.
time Jake tried to
So
make a
subscribe the
pass, Cam
channel,
said,
like
no,
the
I'm not giving you
video.
the spot.
You might be asking, well, why is the race over? I thought it was a red flag period. If you're new to the way the rules work here in Moto America competition, the race was over, 2/3 of the way complete. So this race has now been closed in these tricky conditions. We had several riders make the decision to go ahead and go back to pit lane. Bobby Fong was our championship point leader coming in to this race. He was one of those riders. And Cameron Beaubier also taking himself
Hope
out
you
of contention.
enjoy the
Yeah,
video.
this was a huge shake
So
up for the
subscribe the
points
channel, guys.
for
Support
Cam
the
Beaubier now. I
channel.
mean, he's either
Share
gonna
the
fall back
video.
even
Share
more
video.
than he
Subscribe
was.
channel, guys.
So I
Everybody,
don't know if that
subscribe the channel.
might make him think some more, you know, about tomorrow.
In the
You know,
below
he's gotta
there is the
put
red
himself
corner.
in a big
Subscribe
hole.
the
Bobby
channel,
Fong,
guys.
it's a huge loss for
A
Bobby.
small
And then also
support
you
for
think about Josh Herring, Loris
everyone.
Vaz
Do the
down
subscribe.
there in 8th. A lot of guys lost a lot of points. They really shook up the points. All it takes is one race, and you know the way this class is tight.
Yeah.
It was a big change.
You see the smile on Jake Gagne's face. They're able to finish in second after that battle you talked about with his teammate. It's a great day for him.
What about Jake? All the problems we talked about all year, he's just limping through 8th at Brainerd. His arm pump, we talk about every single weekend and what's wrong with Jake. He's still, it's just unreal what he's doing and just trying to milk up till he gets time to get that fixed. And he shouldn't be in the points lead when that comes possible.
It's that never give up attitude that champions just naturally have. And for Jake, he takes it day by day. And when he's only able to finish 8th, he takes 8th, and he takes whatever little points are there for that position, and he's going to just continue moving on through the season this way.
And that's all you can do. And for Jake, that's hard to do too, just to take those points, you know, and not do anything
Like
crazy, knowing that
the video, subscribe the channel. Everybody, subscribe the channel. Keep support, a small support for us. Keep support, guys. Subscribe the channel.
Before we send it back over to Greg and Jason, what about Xavi Flores?
Great ride for him, Xavi. It could be a huge
It's very
boost for him
helpful
and that
for
team able to come in here and
growth
get
the
that,
channel. Subscribe
get
the
podium
channel,
today.
everybody.
Lewis 4th, Richard Kerr 5th, Ashton Yates 6th.
It's gonna
Let's go ahead and
subscribe,
send it
guys.
back over to Jason
Do
and
subscribe,
Greg and
everybody.
Hannah, and we can
Subscribe
hear
the
from the top
channel.
3.
Steel Commander Superbike coverage is brought to you by Steel Commander Corps, a leading steel building manufacturer offering expertise, innovation, and a dedication to quality. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the Moto America Championship Series.
And this is exactly why you come racing. You never know what's going to happen. Congratulations from the wife for Cameron Peterson after what had to be a super fun victory. And in the record books, it's going to go down as 32 hundredths of a second, as you can see right here, the margin of victory. Xavi Flores. Boy, he's had some podiums in his career across multiple championships. How about Danilo Lewis, 4th place, and leads that championship in our Superbike deal. All right, let's get down to Hannah, who has our winner, Cameron Peterson.
Well, the race was declared wet. Sometimes the tire choice can be tricky. Cam, seems like you made the right one. Why was that?
Yeah, I mean, we had a look at the radon, and we knew this stuff was going to stick around for a while. But yeah, the whole team put their heads together, and we decided that this was the right choice, and it paid off. But yeah, man, that was such a fun race. You know, I didn't really, leading the race the whole time, I didn't really know if my pace was okay. And then, you know, I started looking at Jake's board and I saw that we were pulling a gap. So at that point, I just kind of took a breath and knew we were in a good position. And yeah, just try to ride as smooth as possible.
Now, Jake went to make a move on you there. You guys were battling back and forth a little bit. We saw you both look back and forth at each other in your helmets. What was going through your mind there? How much fun were you having?
Yeah, it was so much fun. But you know, the race at Road America, me and Jake after the race, we were kind of talking, and we're like, yeah, we should have definitely looked at each other. So yeah, the opportunity presented itself, and I was like, I'm not missing out on this one. Gave him a nice look over, but it's so fun racing, JG. You know, we know nothing stupid's gonna happen, so it allows us to race hard and fast. So yeah, congrats to Yamaha. Another one to Richard buying dinner again is always a good thing. And seriously, this whole Yamaha crew, everybody underneath the canopy, the work they're doing on these things is incredible. And yeah, I think we're kind of just getting started, and the rest of the season is going to be good.
Really cool to see Cam and Jake battling at the front here in mixed conditions with that trust, guys.
Incredible. I mean, especially when you have a teammate you get along with and you know can run the pace, and it's just so good.
Keep support, guys. Subscribe the channel, share the videos, like. Keep support, guys. Subscribe the channel, guys. Keep support.
Jake Gagne in
Subscribe
second
the
place today, and
channel.
the red flag came out before we could finish seeing what was going to happen there. Did you think you had anything left for your teammate at the end?
I was sure going to give Cam a try. We went back and forth a couple times on that, like those last 2 laps, and hats off to Cam, man, because he fought for it real big time. And again, hats off to the team. That was super confusing. Even on the sighting lap, warm-up lap, I was like, man, if it stays like this, it might be slicks. But then luckily for us, the rain kept coming down, and so yeah, hats off this Yamaha team. It's great to go 1-2 again. Chavi, Campy. What a kind of wild day. I didn't even expect rain 2 hours ago, and we're here on the podium, so that's good. Yeah, again, thanks to the fans for all sticking it out, and have a good show tomorrow.
Racing with Cam, you know, he mentioned you guys really wanted to look at each other. I noticed he's got a clear visor on out there, so could you kind of see the expression on his face? Were you guys smiling? Were you laughing?
Yeah, it was the first time I made straight eye contact with somebody I was racing against down the front straight on a Superbike, so I think we both had a little giggle on that one. But yeah, it was fun fighting. I wish, of course, we could have had a couple more laps to duke it out. And like Cam said, you know, we've been around each other a long time. He's like a brother to me, and so we can race each other hard. And again, just a good day for the team. So we got a dry race tomorrow, work to do.
Good day for Attack Yamaha, 1-2.
Yeah, without question, but I don't know, Jay. I mean, it's all fun and games now, but if this championship comes down to 3 points or 4 points, that 5 points could make a difference. I'm just saying.
It always make a difference, always. But man, we're just having one of those crazy years right now with the championships and the points leads, and this guy being injured is still right there. Hannah.
Chavi Flores rounding
Keep
out
support,
the podium
guys.
today.
Subscribe
His
the
career
channel,
first in the Superbike
like
class.
the
Chavi,
video,
you're filling in for
subscribe
Richie
channel,
Escalante. Not a lot of time on the
share
rain
the
bike.
video, guys.
What kind
Keep
of setup was the
support.
team able to give you for this race that you were able to pull off this
Subscribe
podium
the
finish?
channel, guys.
Well,
Subscribe.
we did good steps this weekend with the bike. We made some changes yesterday and this morning, and I felt so strong on the bike, even on dry. I was using a little bit more my experience on the weather to choose the tires. I was also checking on the Yamahas. They've been on the rain, so I say we're gonna go on the same. And luckily, it started to rain heavier, and we took this podium. At the beginning of the race, I tried to follow the guys, but I was taking so much risk, and I wanted this podium. I wanted to get this back home, and it's just for the team, for me, and everyone deserves this one. And looking forward for tomorrow. Maybe on dry we're going to be strong as well. I was told that I am the first Superbike rider who has podiums in World Superbike, BSB, IDM, and now more America. So it's a nice achievement for me, and yeah, I'm pretty happy.
A record-setting day for Chavi Flores and team, guys.
Certainly is. You know about World Superbike, you know about British Superbike, and the IDM, of course, is the German championship. Pretty incredible to look at Chavi, especially after the season he had on Supersport. We all thought that he was going to be able to get to Steel Commander Superbike class, and unfortunately for Escalante, he's hurt, but Chavi's doing a great job filling in.
Very well traveled as Chavi, and I think it says a lot that he wants to be in this championship as bad as he does.
So the celebrations with the fans who showed up today. But these two, they tried to battle it out to the end. The nod goes to Peterson. Our coverage continues from Shelton, Washington in a moment.
And our coverage will continue here on Moto America Live Plus as Chavi Flores now up on the podium being joined by Jake Gagne. You're getting this behind-the-scenes look here at what happens in following each and every race here in the Moto America Championship. You, the fan that's here at the racetrack, able to come on down and celebrate with all of these riders as they collect their trophies, do their interviews, take the photographs. You can be a part of all of it. It's just a really great addition to every single ticket purchase here in the Moto America Championship. But Roger, we were just looking at the race results that are being displayed on the screen right now. Of course, all of this is provisional, but just dissecting some of the changes that happened after that red flag came out. Bobby Fong was moved up into a points-paying position.
Yeah, with the going back, it looks like on our board, the lap timing has Bobby 14th. So, you know, they go back to the last completed lap, and Bobby must have been out there and end up 14th. So it's still a couple points. It's not what he wants, but if that does end up being official, and he is 14th at least, you know, those 2 points could be huge coming down to the end of the year.
It could all be about those little points by the time we get to wrap up this championship at New Jersey Motorsports Park. And just looking at the rule book, in order to be classified as a points finisher, it does say that you have to be actively competing at the time that a red flag is displayed, and that's defined as being attempting to repair or restart the race as well. And race control, of course, makes the sole judge on whether or not a rider is attempting to get back out there. Maybe the Wrench Motorcycles team was attempting to put on a set of rain tires to get Bobby back out when the red flag was displayed. But again, all of this provisional at the moment as we still wait. But those 2 points, wouldn't that be something if it came down to it?
Yeah, it would. And for Bobby there, and all the other guys on slicks, I mean, they tried for as long as they could, but at a certain point, slicks on a wet track, it becomes, you know, you want to try to limp it home, but you get to a point where safety is huge. But those 2 points, like you said, a couple years ago, we had 2 titles in the year in a tie, so that could be huge.
Putting all that behind us, though, it's all about this rider right here that you're seeing on the screen, Cameron Peterson, being able to take a victory today. And not only, it's not his first one of the season, though. That's the impressive thing for Cam Peterson, being able to win now 3 different times this year. It's a great season that's unfolded for Cameron Peterson.
Not only that, watching the race, you know, he said he's riding the best he ever has, and that's true. And when we watch these races, like these battles with Jake, Road American here, he's not being, you know, he's not giving an inch. He's not being pushed around. And not saying he got pushed around before, but I think previous years he might have gave Jake that spot where Cam's saying, no, not anymore. You know, if you try to pass me, I'm going to lean on you, and you get to earn it.
But Jake Gagne also being able to salvage some solid points today, getting another podium finish. Great points paying day. Let's go ahead and get back over to Greg and Jason.
Celebrations, podium, Steel Commander, Superbike Race number 1 at Ridge Motorsports Park after very tricky conditions. But let's get down to Hannah, who has another story for us.
For Danilo Lewis, a career best finish in the Superbike class, 4th today for the Brazil native. Danilo, take us through that race and why you knew that the reins were going to be the right tire choice.
All right, Danilo, ela está perguntando para você narrar a corrida, explicar o pneu que você escolheu.
Eu não escolhi, na verdade a gente tinha pneu usado na roda reserva e foi o que tinha para hoje. Eu preferia estar com um pneu novo, ia ter um pouco mais de grip, mais confiança. Eu salvei umas 5 vezes na corrida, não sei se não desse a bandeira vermelha eu ia conseguir segurar, mas foi legal, gratificante andar perto das equipes oficiais.
All right, he basically said that he did not choose the tire, he didn't have a choice, he only had a used tire to race with, and so he chose a wet, used tire. Had he had a brand new tire, I think he would have a lot more chances to be closer, maybe perhaps even got podium. Regardless, he's super happy with the results. I think it's one of his best results. He's really thankful as well. So to his sponsor. It's our transmission from San Luis Obispo in California. He would like to thank them.
Always great to see Danilo Lewis out there on the Superbike grid, and big congratulations for a 4th place finish today, guys.
What an outstanding run for Lewis, Jason. And boy, those are those moments too when you hear those stories and you're sitting there going like, oh man, if I just had a brand new tire mounted up, what could have been? But nonetheless, that 4th place, an outstanding result. And of course, in the Superbike Cup that we talked about, the championship inside the championship, he leads it, and now he's extended his lead.
Yeah, can the championship get any stranger? It's so fun. It's so fun to call it because, you know, you had 2 teammates today run away. You got Danilo Lewis finishing 4th, you know, on a stock 1000 bike, essentially. Chubby Forrest, great podium. Richard Kerr, 5th, who I loved to see that. So, and the championship, every race just seems like the points get jumbled up. And, you know, I feel a little bit sad for Cambodia. He made the effort to come all the way here and be in this race today, and then it just didn't work out for him. And on the flip side of it, Jake Gagne's got to feel like he stole one today because he has been having those problems, and he continues to be right there at the top of the championship again now with Bobby Fong not having the best race of
Well,
his day.
subscribe the channel, guys.
Joining us
Support
late,
the
let's take a
channel.
look at
Small
race
subscribe. Support the channel. Subscribe, girl. Subscribe the channel, guys.
Yeah, was Loris Bass here was on slicks, and he made some bold efforts there at
Well,
the beginning.
subscribe
He
the
stuck it in
channel.
there, tried to get
Support.
past Cam Peterson on the exit. This was impressive.
Subscribe.
Haas ran all the way out into the grass. Ends up
Like,
finishing
share,
ninth
subscribe.
place. You can see there was Danilo Lewis up the back of Baz. Cam Peterson, though, he was leading the way, and his teammates soon closed that gap. They were into lappers early. A lot of those lappers were on slicks. Look at this, Greg. This is what I loved about this here. Gagne goes underneath him, but look at the room. See how he didn't push him all the way out to the white line?
Okay, guys, this is much for today. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Keep support, keep love, subscribe the channel. We will meet tomorrow. Okay, bye bye, see you.
This is when both riders found out. Cam saw the red flag before Jake did, and then now they both saw it. Cam Peterson wins, Jake Gagne second.
So Jake was a little surprised. They're going like, oh, but a good place to see that red flag is they got to roll right into pit lane. But entertaining, and of course Matthew Schultz in the mix as well. Former Westbeat Superbike rider, now dominating.
Okay, bye bye, guys. Keep support, keep love, subscribe the channel, guys. Bye bye.
So unfortunately for Bobby Fong, who Jason actually was able, even though he pulled in on our broadcast, he actually scores 2 points because of what happened.